Welcome to the 30th anniversary of the passage of the American with Disabilities Act, also known as ADA. Here in Chattanooga, we are celebrating this occasion with a month-long event of activities centered around education, conversation, and socialization. With the passage of the ADA, we are committed to the clear and comprehensive mandate, the elimination of discrimination against people with disabilities. As President George H.W. Bush said just before he signed it, and I quote, "With the signing of the landmark Americans for Disability Act, every man, woman, and child with a disability can now pass through once closed doors with a bright new era of equity, independence, and freedom." It is up to each of us to ensure this continue to happen, not just during this month of celebration, but through our continuing efforts. On the 30th anniversary of the American with Disability Act, an extremely historic law, the many ways that the ADA has transformed our society. It has done so by three ways. One, by replacing exclusion with access, segregation with integration, and finally, with limitations that determine self-determination. The ADA has advanced the promise of the American dream, ensuring that people with disability enjoy the same opportunity as all Americans to participate in everything this great society has to offer. The importance of employment opportunities for citizens with disability is one of the things that the ADA has been real important in advancing. Some of the ways that can happen is that starting first with citizens, because it can be a win-win situation between the citizen and the job. But people with disabilities gain experience, independence, and financial security. And that's something that's very important because everybody wants to feel that they're carrying their own weight in society and with everything they do in life. Independence is very important. Becoming empowered and having control of their lives. And one way of doing that is through employment and having your own income. And by creating stabilization in the family. By having employment, it creates an environment where people can feel comfortable because you're not just only having the citizen with disability at home, but they're actually going out and interacting with other members of society. The benefits to the company is that it increases its pool of candidates that are hard workers and bring different perspectives to the company. Many companies today have only been able to be successful as they are because of their pool of candidates, and one of them are citizens with disabilities. It expands the opportunities to finding the right people for the right job, and it can increase the bottom line of companies. Many companies have only grown because of the impact that citizens with disabilities has had within that company with their creativity and their different view of how they look at things. People with disability also bring unique characteristics and talents to the workplace that benefit employers and organizations. One of my favorite is it increased morale. It gives a company a unique personality that triggers a culture of acceptance and team building. It has been my experience through my son and through other citizens who have worked in various companies that there seems to be an uplift when you have citizens with disabilities within the workforce. It uplifts, it brings about camaraderie, and it brings about a teamwork. And it really says a lot about the company and that culture that it really does have an inclusive frame of how they want to do business and treat their employees. Citizens with disability, from my experience, are found to be extremely productive, dedicated to the job, and have great work ethics. I have known citizens with disability to come to work even when they didn't have to. And it's one of the things that is so exciting about having citizens with disability is they really enjoy their job. And then that feeds into other employees, that knowing that if they can do it, I can do it. And that's so important in setting a standard that emulates how important society is as far as how we work together and get along. You know, with everything that is involved with the importance of the American with Disabilities Act and the fact that it gives relevance to an individual life to be able to have a job and to be a part of society. One of the things that's really gets missed sometimes is the socialization access of the ADA and the importance of job. You know, I often refer to my son who was diagnosed with autism. And when he was young, I was always wondering, my wife and I, what was his life going to be like? You know, what would he be able to do to be productive and feel within himself as anybody else would? And one of those things was employment. And he began working with the YMCA because they had a program that catered to citizens with disabilities. And he was able to obtain a job for which now he's been doing for over 20 years. And they have been extremely accommodating to him early on for him to develop the skills he needed to be successful. And they were patient and very, very accommodating. And in that, you'll hear accommodation that's one of the things that employers struggle with is accommodations. And it's not as simple or it's not as hard as you would believe it to be. It's just making those adjustments as you would with any employment. And now, given the COVID and everything else that has been centered around the new workforce, is ways of citizens in general, not only citizens with disabilities, but it goes a long way in making sure that now that many employers are working from home, that you can consider that same thing with citizens with disabilities. So for myself and my wife personally, the ADA has really done a lot. And I applaud all those companies out there that work very, very hard in making sure that they have opportunities for citizens with disability. And I implore each and every company to really take a hard, tough look in your hiring practice, because as I've mentioned throughout the course of this conversation is that it really is a benefit to the organization, to the individual, to bring these unique talents, these unique mindset, and the unique personalities that citizens with disabilities bring to your country, your company. Given the unprecedented situation we are in, new ideas, new efforts, and a need to remake our economy and make it more inclusive for all is going to be extremely important. Let's start by looking at hiring citizens with disabilities and taking advantage of the unique talents and experience needed to aid in the recovery of our economy and the socialization of our society. Lastly, I want to thank our partner agencies for helping put this on this month. They are Department of Vocational and Rehabilitation, Goodwill Industries, the Hart Gallery, and the City of Chattanooga, and all those organizations who work tirelessly to make sure that citizens with disability have a quality of life. Now, let's continue to educate, inspire, and advocate for opportunities for citizens with disability as we continue to celebrate this month. Let's enjoy it, and God bless you all.